Hey guys, Bridget here. In this video, I'm going to give you a complete overview of how the auto layout function works in Figma. And just before you get started, I want to remind you that I recently launched an over 9-hour Figma course, which is going to bring you from A to Z in terms of your Figma knowledge. So if you want to become an expert with this software, check it out in the link in the description. But now without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Okay, so let's start with the basics of auto layout. The very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create this button, and we're going to apply some text to it. So we're going to write a button, and we're going to make it much bigger so that we can clearly see it. Let's even make it bold. Now at this point, in order to create the auto layout is very simple. You can use the keyboard command shortcut Shift plus A, or alternatively you can right click having both of these elements selected, and you can click on Add Auto Layout. Now the moment that you do this, you're going to notice that on the left hand side we don't have the two separate items anymore, but we do have this one single group, which is called frame 1, with this icon which gives us a clue that this is a auto layout. Now the great thing about it is that the two individual elements are still available, but it's actually one, in the sense that we only have the text, while the background is going to be contained in the auto layout. Now I'm telling you this because this is going to be incredibly important in just a moment, as you're going to notice. So we're going to select the type, and we're going to duplicate it 2 times using Command C and Command V. And as you can see, the auto layout is going to copy these items in one of 2 directions, either vertically, or in this case it's going to be horizontally. In order to change the orientation, you can simply click on vertical layout, and as you can see, this is changing the way that the auto layout behaves altogether. Now you can also wrap it, but this is a feature that we're going to discuss in a bit. And one thing that you can do at this point is you can make the auto layout higher, and this is going to essentially give you a base point to work on. Now another approach that you can have when it comes to the auto layout, which is going to be even more convenient as you're creating these bottom elements, is going to be to simply add the text, and then using Shift plus A, you can see that we now create an auto layout, and we didn't need to have this initial background established. And this is actually my preference whenever you're creating or whenever I'm creating auto layouts working on projects, because you can simply add a fill-in, which I'm going to leverage the same color, or utilize the same color. And at this point we can add additional padding, and we can add also vertical padding. So by doing this, you can have a solution which is going to be more scalable. So if you go ahead and we duplicate this text, you can see how now this background is scalable compared to the very first approach. So this is something that I want you to keep in mind, and that is whenever you're creating auto layouts, leverage the fill instead of creating a specified background. And as you can see, even if I make this vertical, it's going to easily adjust. Now if I enlarge this auto layout, we're going to start understanding some of the crucial elements of the alignment options. So if we notice that we currently have this align center, but if I click on align top left, you can see how, as I'm clicking on the various sections of this auto layout, I'm having the option to modify the orientation within this specific auto layout component. And this is going to be something that you're going to utilize all the time. On top of that, you wanted to add a little bit of gap in between these items. Very easy. Simply click on and drag with your mouse, and you're going to be able to adjust the sizing of these in no time. Now, another really useful element is going to be the individual padding from the bottom, left, right, and top elements. So if you want more padding from the only the left side, you can utilize this option from the top. You can utilize this one, and so on and so forth. You can see the miniature giving you clues as to which element you're actually modifying and adjusting. And this is pretty much when it comes to the auto layout as a whole. And now I want to take a moment with you to create a card component so that you can see how the auto layout is going to work within that element. So again, starting from scratch, let's say that this one is going to be the headline, and I'm going to simply keep this to wrap just to make things easier. And I'm going to add another element below, which is going to be the sub headline. So this is the sub headline, and we can simply create an auto layout out of this, again with Shift plus A, as we just learned. And we're going to add a background color, which is going to be somewhat something around these lines, let's say. And I'm going to add just a little bit of padding on these sides, just to give it some breathing room. And at this point, what I want is, say that I have an image right here, and I'm simply going to simulate this with a placeholder. I'm going to add this over here, and I'm going to create an auto layout out of this as well. Now I can drag and drop this image right here, and as you can see, the auto layout is immediately going to add this image. Now you can see that the borders aren't perfectly balanced on the left and right side. The right side would need a little bit less padding. So what I want to do is instead of saying this as fixed, I want to basically say that it's going to fill the container. And I want to be sure that the auto layout here is setting at the center, so that the image is going to be at the center. Now, one interesting thing is that now at this point, we're going to have these two auto layouts. So I'm going to create an auto layout group of these two elements. And just going to make this a little bit smaller. Kind of hurts that it's so that it has so much emphasis. So what we want to do is, now that we have two auto layout elements, we can easily tweak this section in order to add more gap and padding overall. Now, what would have happened if we didn't do this? I'm going to simply undo and remove the auto layout. So I'm going to notice that the moment that I do that, the auto layout is going to convert in a frame, and I'm simply going to Shift plus Command plus G in order to undo this. And you can notice that now if we adjust this gap, the size, not only the size between the image and this text is going to update, but also the distance between the top headline and the sub headline is going to update. So I want to avoid that. So I'm going to simply group these into a single auto layout. And now I can individually change these gaps based on the top and lower level nested items. So this is pretty much it when it comes to this introduction to auto layout. Again, if you want to learn more about Figma, I recently released a 9-hour course where we're going into much more detail about auto layout and much more. So feel free to check it out, and I'll see you in the very next video.